What's up, SD Racing family, and welcome back to the channel. Today in the dyno we have a Charger RT with an intake, throttle body, Longtube headers. So these 5.7 Hemis on our dyno are typically between 330 horsepower and 350 horsepower stock, and between 360 and 380 foot-pounds of torque stock. Now our expectations are with the intake and the long tubes to get roughly between 30 to 40 horsepower and torque more than factory. The throttle body is going to help give us a little bit, but not that much. A throttle body, a larger throttle body, really needs to be used in conjunction with a larger intake manifold to take full benefit of it. So we'll get a couple horsepower out of it, but not as much as if we had a larger throttle body. So we're about to go ahead and do the baseline with the modifications on the car without any tuning done to it, so we can see where we're at, and then we'll start going from there. Baseline pull is done. Made 319 horse, 385 torque. So a little bit lower horsepower than we were expecting on the baseline, and a little bit more torque than we were expecting. It's 2018 model year, so they haven't looked at the log yet. Obviously, we're going to see what we can get out of it with our tune file. But here's what the graph looks like. So even though it was all be a little bit lower, it did produce a nice smooth graph. So again, we're going to take a look at the log on the baseline, make our base map up, and start tuning. Alright, so first pull with our mapping is done. We made 326 horse and 394 foot-pounds of torque, so we were able to pick up was it 7 horsepower and 9 foot-pounds of torque. Here's what the graph looks like. So we'll take some time, review the log as usual, make the appropriate changes. I think we can squeeze a little bit more out of it. It looks like it wants a little bit more up top, and we'll go from there. So stick with us. We'll be back here shortly. We picked up 3 horsepower and 2 foot-pounds of torque. Now we're up to 329 horse and 396 torque. I'm going to try one more thing to see if we can squeeze a little bit more out out the upper RPM range on this car. It's not really want to give me much. Like I said, modifications were on the car when it came in, so I couldn't tell you what the car would have made. Completely stock. Told you what they typically make, but sometimes they're higher, sometimes they're lower. Just the way things go. And we don't hide anything. We don't inflate numbers. We don't artificially drop numbers too on baseline. So this is just what this car is doing. We have picked up power over what it came in with. So we'll review the log, see if we can make any more changes, squeeze any more out. But right now it's 329 horsepower, 396 foot-pounds of torque. Here's what the graph looks like. So let the car cool down, review the log, make any changes if we need to, and see if we can squeeze a little bit more out. Well, that'll do it for this tuning session. We picked up another 2 horsepower. I didn't pick up any torque. I didn't add any timing down low or do anything with that. So we ended with 331 horsepower and 396 foot-pounds of torque. Again, not knowing what the baseline was on this car without the parts, it may have been a low performer from factory, which can happen. But like I said, typically stock between 330 and 350 horse, and between 360 and 380 torque. This one was a little, on the low end. We finally got up to 330 once we got done tuning, but I mean that doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong with it. It could just been, like I said, a low performer from factory, and they happen. You get some factory freaks that make a lot more power than what they're rated for, and you get some cars from the factory that don't make what they're rated at. I mean that's just the way it is with mass manufactured cars, and all that. So here's what the graph looks like. Again, that's 331 horsepower, 396 foot-pounds of torque to the tires. That equates to roughly, let's see, approximately 390 horse and 470 foot-pounds of torque at the crank, which rated from factory these are 375. Again, they usually perform a little bit better to the tire than what they're rated at. This one just didn't. So. It'll be fun for him to have. You may do some more modifications to it later. We didn't do any transmission tuning this time. It's something he's going to save for later, so that'll help to get a little bit more performance out of it by getting a little bit quicker and firmer shift. So like I said, that's it for this tuning session. 331 horse, 396 torque. So if you enjoyed the video, please give us a like. If you haven't done so already, please think about subscribing to the channel. We hope you have a good one. We'll see you again soon.